Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Nip and a Half Fantasy Football Podcast from Fantasy Football Hub. Game Week 1 is just days away, and I don't know about you, Paul. My brain is absolutely fried. We messaged each other just before the Man City Arsenal game, and because I was so stuck on Haaland, no Haaland, not in all formats, but in certain formats, I think I messaged you something along the lines of I either want him to bang a hat trick in, or I want him to pull his hamstring, and sort of nothing in between. No sort of, 60-minute blank, which makes things even more decisive. But obviously that's made things really interesting. But yeah, I actually had a headache this afternoon just trying to work through all my teams and things. But how are you feeling?
It was interesting because after speaking to you yesterday, you're like, right, okay, right, that's it. No Haaland in any teams is where I'm going. And then I saw you tweet this morning saying, "Oh no, I think there is."
Exactly.
After sleeping on it, I'd love to know what those dreams were in the
Well, it's
Ferguson
not.
house.
It's not.
But
It's certainly not every format. It's certain formats, which I'm sure as we go into each one now, that we can weigh up the pros and cons. But my
I
initial
think you're right.
instinct for FPL, this was the initial instinct, was that you can make this incredible team, right? If you don't have Haaland. Now I had a go this morning at making this incredible non-Haaland team, and I looked at it, and I thought
Was-
it's better, but it's not
And is
transformational enough.
the reason for that, I would think, and correct me if I'm wrong, is because you've not got a fully fit, raring to go Saka for the start of the season, whilst
Yeah,
Palmer
that's
been rested over
that's
the
a good
summer.
point.
Pre-season output hasn't been maybe where you'd still expect him to be at his peak. There's no Mo Salah or equivalent secondary player to Haaland, and I mean price-wise, not necessarily ability-wise. Um, so you don't have these players of which you can fit in two or three rather than the one or two of which you would go if I'm setting that up previously.
I think that's right, because if you look at the majority of especially the attacking options, who you go with, you can upgrade defensively, right? Yeah, I would love to have Gabriel, Nico O'Reilly. I think are two huge upgrades there, and I think that that's decent. Although the players I would likely be taken out have got a good chance of DEFCON, have got good fixtures anyway. But it's that midfield and attack space, because you'd be replacing Haaland with Thiago, for example, right? Or like, an Igor Jesus or someone, right? Who could like for Haaland. But then I was looking, right, what can I really do in this midfield? And I was like, right, because I'm stuck on Mbeumo anyway. I think for me, Mbeumo, Szoboszlai, and Bruno are my probably FPL locks.
We're talking FPL here,
FPL
right?
here, sorry, yeah. But then I
Yeah.
looked at right, who can I have? Oh, I can have Semenyo. Didn't like City to me looked awful yesterday. Really, really disjointed, really leggy as a team, as a unit. And I thought, Wirtz, better than anything pre-season, gets brought off after 75 minutes every game. Or you could have Isak, but if you have Isak, you actually haven't got that much money to do these upgrades then, because by the time you've upgraded to Gabriel, got Nico O'Reilly, you've maybe got $1 million or $2 million left to sort of play with. So I suppose what I was thinking about was, when I was doing all this, I was thinking it's definitely a better team, but actually, is it worth the actual risk of going without Haaland? Because if you go without Haaland, you're not transferring him in, right? You're wild carded, or you're not going out
You're
with him.
100. You're playing against 150 euro, right?
Exactly. Plus, you're not going to be able to buy him back in. You're almost forced into a wild card, or you go without him, or forced into a free hit, for example. So these are just my musings around the sort of Haaland, no Haaland. And when I went back to my Haaland team, because there are players like I'm really high. I don't know why, but I'm really high on like Enzo Lefebvre and Pascal Gross, and they're both 90-minute men on penalties, whereas, for example, Wirtz and Semenyo are not on penalties, and there's just little things like that I keep coming back to, that I'm just, well, actually, my Haaland team is actually pretty decent. So anyway, that's the preamble. Haaland or no Haaland is probably the theme the theme of the pod. Should we start with? Well, should we start? Should we continue with FPL? We may as well, I suppose. Let me just say hello to everyone in the chat. Apologies before we get on. But Cloudy Sky Ian is in. He says, general fantasy question, if I may. Which of the 4 formats are taking you longest to set a team for? And is that because it's more difficult or because you need to plan further ahead? It's a really good question. What's your answer to that, Paul?
DreamTeam.
Same for me at the moment. I think it's quite...
It's the one that I'm most nervous around not getting a good start on.
Yeah, it's a very aggressive game, both in terms of points, but also in terms of team value and things as well. And you've got the added sort of jeopardy of the Carabao Cup, which could, which it could be amazing. When I won it, I had hat tricks in the Carabao second or third round.
One, right? Because it's a weird one because you need a massive slice of luck because there's no there's logic, but there's not logic behind picking players that's going to potentially play.
I'm not sure about that. I disagree. So I would say in that year, I picked Havertz and Calvert-Lewin, knowing they had early Carabao action and a chance of playing. They weren't blind. I didn't sort of suddenly turn on midweek. Oh, I forgot these guys not playing. They were logic in their picks, which is why I'm tempted by some Forest picks and all this now.
I think there was more logic to be applied when you did it, so I'm not diminishing your play in the slightest. I think with bigger squads, with more money in Premier League teams, the view is that playing second string teams, and so quite a lot of times in its entirety, is very plausible.
Yes, it is,
and much more so than it was was it 4 seasons ago you won it? Even more so, like the gap between 4 years ago and now, because of the TV money, because of the ability to build up the Premier League squads. I think it's more. I'm not backtracking on what I said because I stand by what I said.
Mate. You're trying to say I'm an old school winner.
No, I think predicting for game week 1 when you've already got that uncertainty around the first game of the season, to then try and pick who you think is going to play in the Carabao Cup, knowing that teams could just go completely second string.
Yeah, but there's also, in terms of, I'll use Gibbs White as an example. If you were on a coin flip between Gibbs White and Solis, for example, both 4 million, both look really good options, I would always go with Gibbs White because you've got the opportunity of the extra game.
Yeah, or you could go with the logic. Well, you know that Arsenal's going to have a double game week in game week 3, and you're setting yourself up early by not.
No,
doing enough.
I take your point, but I think if you go for Carabao first week players and you hit, I don't think that's lucky. I think you've gambled and you've hit, rather than. You can't say, Joe Pedro's got the second game. How lucky are people? Well, he always had an opportunity to do it.
You did. My words at the start were, there's logic and there's not logic. You need a massive slice of luck.
Yeah, but you've thrown. Yeah, no, I think we're agreeing. What I'm saying is
violently.
Violently agreeing. But if you go for Joe Pedro and Gibbs White, who I'm trying to squeeze into my team at the moment, because 1, I think they're really good picks, but 2, they both have the potential to play midweek. Whether they do or not is obviously a different thing. And then they play and they score well. I don't think there's anything lucky about that. I think you've taken a gamble, and if they do well, it's paid off handsomely. If you don't do well, I think there's minimal sort of downside. But interesting debate. Good question, Ian. But yeah, sounds like it's dream team for both of us.
I think the biggest gamble on that is whether you put the captaincy on them.
You're right. I'm really surprised, actually, because I was really contemplating Gibbs White captaincy. Even someone like Igor Jesus, who I think has may play twice, but it looks like on the Dream Team Tonic site, Haaland's the sort of runaway winner still, which even that's a massive factor when you're choosing your team, right?
game week 1, known as August history.
Yeah.
So,
Ian, who travels, is in. Asks, is João Pedro essential? He's kind of looking like that with the form he's in.
I think I'll start them in every
I
format.
think
So
I think I am as well. FPL Sparta is in FPL. Freddie, Nobbles, Donk Leeds, Carl JB, Matt Woolley. Looks like everyone's agreeing that DreamTeam's taking along. I don't think it's that easy with the pricing either. You can't have an Arsenal defender, a couple of Arsenal defenders, and João Pedro and Bruno and whoever else, can you? So
I think they did a good. I think they did a good pricing job in FPL this season, and I think that again, Dream Team's done a fantastic job of their
it's hard.
pricing.
It's really hard. I agree. Conk is in. FPL. Freddie is going without Haaland in FPL. Soft Poo is in, saying Richarlison getting overlooked. And Viney said went 6 United players last year in Dream Team for Grimsby, followed by Burnley. Never again. It took me 3 weeks to get back on track. Superb. Anyway, back to FPL. How is your team looking? Are you team Haaland?
Well, it was interesting. I saw your obviously you do your weekly article and you'd put your draft out, and I looked at it. And at one stage last week, I had the same 15 players
15?
as you did.
Jesus.
On so basically we had the identical team, having not we came on and spoke about FPL last week, but not to the point where we ever shared
no, definitely not.
our setup. But maybe maybe the podcast no longer works if we think the same. But I had made a couple of tweaks. I had made a couple of tweaks to it last week, and then I've made a couple of tweaks to it since. And I say a couple, literally 2 tweaks, to the point when you posted your team. I think I had 13 of the same 15, and then I've subsequently made another 2 small changes in there as well. So I'm pretty comfortable. I was always going to bench boost game week 1, and I did it last year as well when it wasn't the in vogue thing. As soon as when they first made the change, and I'm sure, and this was before I knew you, I think. And it was maybe when you either first started working for the Hub or the season before that, and you were doing the blog, when you did your triple captain, when you only got 1 triple captain a season on the first day of the season.
Oh, it's Salah. Did it on Salah.
I did against Norwich, right? I think
you got
10
a goal and
pointer.
assist.
Yeah, but didn't get any bonus, I think,
Yeah.
or something like that, right?
You're right.
So as fortunate or unfortunate that we often think the same tactically around that, but I've always been on bench boost game week 1 since the game launched, and whilst I've had a look at bench boost game week 2 teams, I much prefer the option.
I thought of something else on that. I was thinking this morning is the transfer window. So we're going to be reasonably sure on Friday that the teams we pick, the players are going to play over the weekend. We can't be sure on Friday about all the players that are going to be linked to potentially moving away in the following week. And I think there's real risk there. I can't think who the player was this morning, but it was a player I was really surprised at, especially in the lower teams, especially on the lower, it only takes sort of Coventry to sign a new centre back, and all of a sudden Thomas is on the bench or something like that. So I do think there's real jeopardy to a bench boost too. I say real, far more than a bench boost 1. Players could be sold, or they could potentially be displaced in the team they're currently playing for. Because if you looked at the team now at this moment, even in the last few days, through injuries and stuff, Hume has gone from right wing to right back to cover, so all of a sudden that's changed. And the same with O'Shea for Ipswich. He's gone from a central defender with loads of opportunity for DEFCON to playing right back, and he's probably playing that next week as well. So that's what I mean by sudden injury or transfer, and it throws everything out. So yeah, and a really good point from FPL Freddie. Look at the Coventry striker, right? It's gone from Haji Wright to Sims to Awonyi in a week, and that could further change again. So I'm not just talking about Coventry, but I just mean in general is that it's such a lot of jeopardy to a bench boost 2, in my opinion. Whereas bench boost 1, you can be all right. You may not get a start, all right. Like I'm tempted to go with Aya for Brentford, and he's played in pre-season, looks good. I'm really confident he's going to start, but he may not start, and I know that, and I accept the risk of that, which is why he's 4.5 million. And if he doesn't start, I'll be gutted. But I can, I can sort of understand that. What I don't want to do is go into game week 2 with a potential injury and someone on my bench who I was planning on boosting who isn't. So we're
Yeah,
both on Haaland.
I think I made the point last week as well that this is the only point in the season where you can wildcard and bench boost in the
Yeah,
same week.
yeah, exactly
Because
that.
ultimately, a wildcard, like from the fact that you can pick anybody.
Yeah, I just said the same thing, but I used a lot more words than that. But in essence, yeah. But the transfer window in game week 2, so I hadn't really considered much. But there's going to be a lot of movement between this coming Saturday and the following Saturday. There's going to be a lot of movement in lots of teams, and I think I think it could really impact a bench boost. Just had another ultimate entry in, which is good. They're flying in now. Yeah, just on FPL. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm still not. I need to give a lot of thought, but I think at the moment, if we were playing now at 5 o'clock, I'm almost back to the same team I was last week. You know how your team sort of evolves and refines itself, and then you find yourself picking sort of vogue players or in vogue player, and then and then all of a sudden I've gone right back now because I was first in on Gross. I was like Gross, like 100%, and then I thought, actually, I'll go for someone else. Back on Gross, back on Lefay, back on the boring team now. I think the only difference is I did have Calafiori in my team. I took him out, but now he's back in after his performance. He was crazy yesterday. I think the only one player, sorry, just to finish off on my team, the only one player which could disrupt everything is I really want Nico O'Reilly, and I cannot fit him in without without, just for example, changing Gross for Gomez and like Aya down to another 4 million defender. For example, I'd have to go sort of double Ipswich defense for the bench boost in game week 1, which I'm not happy about really. I mean, it is an option, but that's the only thing which is playing in the back of my mind about the team you can get, obviously, with no Haaland. Anyway, sorry, mate. Anything more on your team?
No, it's that scenario that you were talking about where you play about things. Not so much in FPL for me, but on Telegraph, you know how if you click, like, because of it allows, like, the formation
Yeah.
auto-populates when you pick the players. I've found myself saying, but what happens if I did this, this, and this? And I think in my head I've got enough money, and I do the moves, and then it loads back up, and I was like, that's where I started with half an hour ago. It's
Exactly.
exactly the same
That's it.
exactly the same 11. Yeah, so I have been in that position a few times before.
But I've changed massively, and I'm back to where I was almost a week ago, I think, or definitely towards the sort of middle of last week when we were podding, or when I did Green Arrow last week. I wasn't far off. Do you know, I am tempted actually thinking about that Nico O'Reilly thing. I could do. I could do. Oh no, I can't. I need to get another million. Actually, no, I'd have to change Calafiori. No, I can't. I can't do it. I need another million again from somewhere. It's just so difficult. I just get the feeling that O'Reilly's going to be just insane this season. Did you see his average position from yesterday? Just in between Haaland and Foden.
The same as Calafiori's.
Yeah, exactly. Well, he was further probably. So I just think those two crazy. So we're both at the moment, both on Haaland, both. But is there any last thing? And I'm not absolutely set on this, but would you own Haaland and captain Bruno in game week 1?
No.
That's the only thing I'm
EO,
tempted
just
to.
for the EO play for a £15 million player in that scenario, because I'm not going to captain Haaland game week 2.
No, but
So
in 3 you would, right? So it's
yeah,
not just having him for nothing.
I think on that basis that I would maybe I don't know.
Because it's chips, it's free hits, it's wild cards, so
Yeah, I much prefer the wild card and or free hit in game
Free
week
hit.
4 to game week 3, and therefore Haaland's the one player that you want, right? Because you will
But
be
also, I
captain.
would say if Haaland, like, I think the thing I've been thinking about with Bruno and Haaland in FPL, and I would say it's quite bespoke to FPL. So I think with Haaland in FPL, there's a couple of things. You only get 4 points for a goal. You don't get any points for things like shots on target, which worries me in other games, like Dream Team, for example. You can have 4 shots on target and not score, which is more, the kind of same as a goal, right? But for Haaland if Haaland gets a brace, it's 13 points max in FPL. Bruno gets a goal, a penalty goal. He normally jumps up to sort of like 9-10 points, and that's with anything else. I think that's the thing which I'm tempted to do on the captain of Bruno, is just to cover if Haaland goes off and scores 13 points or 17 points, still having those points. But I actually think that the upside is with Bruno. I really do, and I'd be having Haaland for 2 reasons: is to kind of cover the EO in game week 1 and 2, right? Because I think if you own him for game week 2, I think it's all easy to say, Bruno, definitely captain against Ipswich in game week 2, but Haaland's away to Palace, and Palace are not looking good. So I think it gives you the option of captaincy in game week 2, and it also gives you definitely for game week 3. So that's why I'm potentially thinking about captaining Bruno in game week 1, which I know everyone will say, you don't know what you're doing. I can't believe you spent 15.5 million playing that. But there's sort of longer
Can't
play
believe you
to
give
it.
fantasy football advice and you're not
What's
captain
that?
Bruno. Can't believe you offer out fantasy football advice
I'm
and now
not.
you're
I'm not
captain.
advice. This is our pub chat, mate. This is the stuff that normally we go over a pint and you say, "You're a fucking
I
idiot."
know, I know.
Cool. Okay. Where should we go next? Should we have a look at Cloud?
Yep.
How's your Cloud team looking?
So I've not made any changes to my team since we last, and not through and not through the fact that I've not logged in, because as I imagine the majority multi-format managers and even those that that dictate to single games, I've been logging in every day. When you have a thought, when you go out for a walk, you walk the dog, or you go for a coffee, and you have a thought, and it's, oh, right, we're going to check that and see if I can afford that. I've genuinely logged in every day, and I was like, and I'm not saying I have the masterpiece of teams or anything like that, but I just like my team. I don't think I've got any notable weaknesses, I don't think. I've got all the players that I want to have. And even when I saw like Xhaka yesterday for Liverpool, 7.2 million, brilliant enabler, I was like, all right, okay, well, he's going to be popular, pick up some steam. Any any of my, what I maybe say is the weakest players in my team, if I downgrade them to him, does that allow me money for a significant upgrade elsewhere that is going to make my team so much better? And I, again, didn't think that that was the case. So I'll be going without him because I'm pretty comfortable in my team. And I've got a couple of low-owned players in there that I really like as well. So I don't mind sharing. We talked about it last night. Stack being someone that we both really like. He's 8 million and the game's only 2% owned. I've got him on my team, but I'm really happy with it. I like Leeds' opening 5 fixtures to take me through the overhaul as well. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with how things are set up. It's a difficult game because the pricing's really good.
Yeah.
Like the pricing's done really, really well on it. But yeah, I like my team and how it's set up.
I think I'm pretty set on. Well, I'm locked on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe six positions, maybe 7. Um, I brought in Xhaka after yesterday, 7.2. I think he'll get the passing at Liverpool. I think their fixtures are good as well, so I think I think he'll do well for his price, 7.2. I really like it. At the moment, I've got Van Dijk. I just not sure if I want to go for Xhaka and Van Dijk. I think the double up is really nice in terms of if they keep a clean sheet, it'll be a really strong day, especially because they'll be passing the ball back and forward to each other. Like I say, they're opening 4 fixtures or so. Are really, really good. I'm going for João Pedro, definitely. Going for Haaland, going for Bruno. I've got a few gaps or a few different options around the sort of 7.5 to 8.5 million. There's just lots of options in defence and midfield. So I'm currently got players like Maguire, Mosquera, Califury. There's Lefay, Sangari, Gross, Casado. All these different sorts of options. I'm finding it very difficult to actually decide on which ones I really want. Calvert-Lewin is another one who I haven't currently got in my team, but may get back because I know there's a captaincy later down the line. So
Yeah, it's a Monday. It's a Monday, so for the captaincy specifically,
yeah,
you can make the gain and maybe use a transfer at that point.
but yeah, I thought. Well, I suppose the only massive weakness in my team is I've still got Rushworth in goals at 6 million, but I have got 1.3 in the bank. Is Lamens? Is he 7.5?
Yeah, yeah, I think he was something like
Might
that.
might might go for him ahead of Maguire potentially. Um, and then go. I would have
7.5
yeah,
years.
I would have double Liverpool, double Arsenal defence with Lamens in goal, and then Bruno Sangari, maybe Lefebvre, but I'll probably go for Gross, I think, to save some money, and then potentially flip Maguire up to Calvert-Lewin, potentially go 4-4-3-3. I just remember the five at the back in the Sky days, but we're not seeing the clean sheets we used to either, are we? Like from 4 years, it was similar to the TFF pod we did last night. It was all Chelsea defense on it and City defense, and they would just rack up the clean sheets and pass it. We're just not seeing them.
Lewis Dunk. Plus
Oh
Lewis
yeah,
Dunk.
of course, yeah, of course. So, but yeah, I think probably end up. Let's do that now, actually, just while I'm doing it live. So Rushworth, Maguire, and Lefay out, and then if I go. So I know this is very, very boring for everyone watching, actually, but if I can afford it, I will save it. I'm not sure if I can. Can't go in. It's quite cheap, and 8.4. That's good. Lamens.
I mean, it sounds like you're spending a lot of money and not taking out a lot of money to make these moves.
Probably. Oh no, I haven't got enough. Gross is 7.6. I'm 0.4 short. It's not too bad. 0.4 short. But yeah, it's a nice team. It's something to think about.
Have Trafford instead of Lemons.
Lemons. We'll see. I may go down to Rushworth. I think, even if he gets sort of one clean sheet, he'll get some save points. I don't know. I'll see. Actually, Trafford would cover the Leeds captaincy as well, wouldn't it? So, something to think about there. Good stuff. If you don't play Cloud, you can go to cloud-ff.co.uk and build a team there. It's like a carbon copy of the old Sky game, but much, much better, much easier to use. You can set captains. I think one of the features I really like is you can set captains for weeks in advance as well, which is really, really good. And your captain defaults if you forget to set it and things.
Yeah, as long as you're someone player,
Yeah.
which is a nice feature as well. And there's that league run for newcomers that hasn't played Sky or Cloud before. I think there's a £50 prize for winning that as well.
And strategy wise, I think I'm gonna just try and hold off until the overhaul after the opening 5 weeks. If you have to do the transfer or two, it's not the end of the world. O'Reilly may all of a sudden, if he bangs in 2 goals in game week 1 and keeps a clean sheet, with the fit, he'll be like, oh my god, I'm going to get O'Reilly. And how much is O'Reilly anyway? Is he? He's the one who scares you in the whole game. Which is O'Reilly? He's 8 million. Oh, he's a midfielder. That's not too bad then. We can probably leave him in this format. Cool. Where do you want to go next?
Dream Team.
Yes.
So I've got a question for you from on my team. Not often I come
You
seeking.
do every bloody week. You just pretend you don't.
So I've got Calafiore in my team, and I've got 1 million in the bank. Would you spend the million and get Gabriel?
No, I don't think so. I think that Calafiori looking at the end of last season and looking yesterday, I think he's got far more attacking potential than Gabriel. He nearly scored a second. He came in the back post, didn't he, and volleyed just
Yeah.
over as well.
I guess the worry is that he doesn't get to the 60 minutes. And I know that Calafiori is now the EO play because, like,
Yeah,
I imagine he'll be in the template team now. The pros and cons that I'm lining up is, well, there's pros and cons of Calafiori, like the point I mentioned. He's like, it looks like he's attacking upsides higher than Gabriel's just now. And the downfall being if he doesn't make it to the 60
yeah,
minutes, then he loses both the appearance points, only one point, but the clean sheet, assuming that they've kept a clean sheet at that point. I think you almost bank yourself with Calafiori, you almost bank yourself into a future transfer. Because I think at some point in time he will share a lot of minutes with Hincapié.
yeah,
Um, and with Gabriel, you kind of know he's going to play. But then that million in the bank also comes in handy with a few of the 2.5 or 3 million players that are non-European players that I've got that I'm going to want to upgrade over the first couple of weeks. And I want to be choice and when I upgrade them so that I'm making the most of the price
yeah.
changes at that point in time as well. So I think I was, well, it's Calafiori that sat there just now and not Gabriel, and I think I'm sort of leaning that way for those reasons as well. But there is pros and cons.
Yeah, I get it. I think I think if you're looking over a season or even the first sort of 8 or 10 weeks, I think that Gabriel will probably outscore him. But at the moment, he could he has the potential if he fulfills his potential, he could absolutely go off in these first few weeks, especially in this first match. And you've not only missed the points, you've missed the rise, you missed whatever else. And I just think that this game, like in FPL, for example, you probably wouldn't go like for like Arsenal defender for Arsenal defender, but I think you can in this format. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah, it's maybe like the closeness of the pricing also tempts me.
Yeah, yeah, I
Like
get it.
where it's different in FPL, if the difference is 5.5 million to 8 million, finding that 2.5 is a significant jump. The 1 million for the assurance of starts and the
And it's almost
no.
not and in Dream Team, it's almost not like for like either. You can actually take out a forward or a midfield and go to Gabriel, like and move towards double up as well, can you? Which you can't do in other games. So I think similar to what we were talking about last night with Palestra with Chelsea and TFF, which obviously we'll get onto in a bit. He looks like an absolute gift, and if you turn it down and it plays out as it could do, I think you may regret it. But the same with Palestra and his prize. If I think, I don't think he's going to play all season, so I'm not going to go with him, and then he does, you've lost out massively, right? It could be the Calafiori is Arsenal's new sort of secret weapon. He's he's Man City's Nico O'Reilly from last year, because players and teams change and develop. I remember having a conversation a few years ago on Green Arrow around players like Ollie Watkins and Ivan Toney, because they were rubbish, and then they had like one good season, and it was like, oh yeah, but they're rubbish, and I was like, yeah, but players get better, they improve, and it could be this is his year, and the signs are there, and if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world, because even if Gabriel, even if he scores a few goals this year, the clean sheets will be reasonably sort of like for like. I think he was brought off yesterday for Hincapié just to give Gabriel some minutes. The game was won or whatever, wasn't it? But interesting. Let us know in the chat what you think about Calafiori or Gabriel in Dream Team. What about the rest of your team? What are your dilemmas?
Well, I don't know that I've got too many dilemmas. Right. I imagine it's going to be relatively template-ish. There's some players that I think they could go real could go off in game week one, and but I just don't. I think there's a higher risk of taking out the players that I own to get those players rather than,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? So, like for example, the Brentford midfielders, I think Otara and Shadi could both be really good picks for the first game week in that double, assuming they could get minutes in the Carabao Cup as well. Um, I think Gibbs White, great shout, and Jai could be a great shout for those as well. Any of the Forest defenders, because of like I kind of listened to the Telegraph pod yesterday, and Carl made the point around how Glasner always played strong Crystal Palace teams in the cups, and Forest don't have Europe this year, so will Forest put out a strong team? And knowing that they're playing Premier League opposition as well, is that another reason to put out a stronger team rather than a weaker team? So players like Nico Williams, who's a bit of a Telegraph darling because he does well in the bonus as well. He is much more expensive than the 4 million, but him or Aina could get minutes there as well.
Yeah, I think with Brentford in particular, I like their fixtures. Obviously, they've got Spurs, they've got Birmingham, they've got Leeds and Sunderland, and then a likely another League Cup game in game week 3. Whereas Forest's longer term ones, I think are a bit more difficult. They're away to Liverpool in game week 2, which is going to be a tough game, and then they've got Spurs, and then they've got a coin flip of a League Cup game this week with Leeds, haven't they? So you're not even sure that they're then going to go in the League Cup. Because I was thinking of going, maybe going for like three Forest and sort of really attacking it. But you're thinking if they do, the fixtures actually don't look great then. And I forget this times, as I'm sure lots do. You think, oh, it's great. I'll just get the rises and I'll run. But you need to keep the players in your team to get the rises.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think
That's
that's
why
kind
you
of a
can't
big
look at the
thing
first two.
sometimes.
You can't look at game week one and then think, well, I'm definitely going to take them out for game week two because we've got a hard fixture. Because
That's
yeah,
it. And I think that's the thing with the Forest players. Home to Leeds looks great. Oh, I'll get a rise off Gibbs White. I get a rise off Williams,
yeah.
and
I
then
mean,
away to
I
Liverpool in
wouldn't
game week
mind
3.
I wouldn't mind playing Gibbs White away to Liverpool though. In all
Yeah,
honesty,
no, yeah, but I'll be keeping him for that. But yeah, just interesting sort of strategy thoughts. João Pedro. I
like I said before, I think I'm just.
Yeah, he wasn't really in my
I wasn't
thoughts
going
for
to play him because
DreamTeam,
it's
but
five. I wasn't going to play him because it's 5 million, and then knowing that that takes up a European player's spot. It's that thing as well where you play multi formats, and I usually write a list of things that I want to happen on a Saturday, and it's like conflicts things based on who's in what team. So I was like, do you know what? I was putting all the teams, and then I know that I'm cheering for them on Monday night.
good stuff. Gonna try. Like I know I won't be able to, but I'd love to be able to save my first 2 transfers to go into into game. So you go into game week 3 with 4 transfers would be nice. But obviously you're only going to do that if your teams do sort of well, because it's going to be very hard to keep hold of players dropping 0.2 or 0.3 minutes. I think the only player I would let that happen to is probably Haaland. I think just because of his ownership and just because that's the nature of the beast with him. I think. Um, Final question on Dream Team, just on Haaland. Any consideration to go without? No, none.
I accept people's decision to do it, and yes, it could obviously pay off, but it's like I'd say, I'm kind of all in strategy. I think I'd rather, in particular in Dream Team, I don't want to lose pace at the start. So picking the high owned players, I think, is part of my tactics.
Yeah.
Something that proved well for me in the Sky game, the year I won it as well. I just stuck to the norm and tailored things on the outskirts with differentials on the low end spots.
Question from Nobbles in the chat. In Dream Team, after game week 5, would you prefer 2 million extra budget or 25 extra points? A really good question.
I think I want to say something because you said I'll sit on the fence if I don't do this. I was going to give a caveat to my answer. Um, it's a good question. It's
It
right on
is
the
right,
cusp.
right on the boundary.
I'll go 2 million more budget.
Okay.
You?
Um, good question. I I prefer the points. I think, but I would welcome I'd welcome the.
You don't really understand the concept of the
No, I
question,
know,
Fergie,
I
do you?
know. I want it all. I want it all. Yeah. Jason, the manager, just said, "Hi guys, the Telegraph have just announced you can enter 5 teams now into one league. Finally,
Yeah, I
after I sent
think
out
it
that
was.
message to everyone saying you can only
Yeah.
enter one team." But
Well, do you know what? Like that's like people's been critical of Telegraph and how long they took to get the game out. And United know that they were changing supplier and stuff like that as well. But at least they've been receptive to stuff. There was other thing about them not having, and they must have done it at the weekend, so they must have their developers working at the weekend,
yeah,
because they also added the manager names back into the league, which they had kind of omitted from
mm.
at launch as well. So it was good of them to kind of take the feedback on quickly and make those changes.
Just so we move on to Telegraph, just a couple more points. Just looking at my team now, so I've got. I think Doku is going to have like a massive season for City in Dream Team because he's so good, with the bonus points and stuff. But he did go off yesterday quite early, and he came out with a ice pack on his calf or something. Um, he's fine. I think he was like the second player in my team, if not the first player in my team for this year at 5 million. I think he's going to be an exceptional hold, sort of over the season. Got Buemo as well. I know, I know some are looking at Acuna potentially and Cheapsh at the back. I kind of hope that Doku is out because it makes a decision easier. It allows me to get João Pedro in without a sacrifice because they're the same price. Because at the moment I'm finding it hard to put in João Pedro as well as want all the other players I kind of want as well. So I find that hard. So that's just one to look out for there. But I really fancy Mbuemo and obviously Bruno. Got Maguire as well. But yeah, the Doku one I think is interesting, and I'm not.
Yeah, he's one of the best players in the game when he's
Oh,
fit.
he's insane, and don't think I'm as nervous about not holding Semenyo as I was a week or so. Again, like I might be wrong, right? City might go and smash Bournemouth 4 or 5-0 on Friday, but I can't see it at the moment after what I saw yesterday. I'm not. I know Arsenal are a wonderful team, and I know they're very likely going to win the league again, and they're a team of superb individuals and a collective, but it just didn't look to me like City were at the races yesterday. They looked like a bunch of strangers. You can clearly see that new personnel, new manager, new system, and I thought Doku looked really dangerous in the first half, and I think he'll do incredibly well this season. I'm sure. Haaland and Semenyo. I'm sure eventually all three of them will do well, and we'll probably have them all in our team at some point. But I'm not as nervous going without them in these opening sort of 2 weeks, especially as it maybe was a while ago. I suppose what I'm saying. So,
Any Spurs players take your fancy because they're like we've got a lack of options right now, and therefore the chances of Spurs attacking players or midfielders even playing twice is pretty high.
no, and it's because I don't know. I don't know who's going to play. To be honest, we haven't had much on sort of injury status of lots of them. There's lots of them have just returned. Like Madison's just returning. With Kudus, he was in first team training last week but didn't play on the weekend. Tell has been really good. We're not going to pick Tell. Solanke's had this mysterious ankle injury that we haven't heard. heard anything about. So Richarlison could potentially play twice, but he's really going to put Richarlison in your team ahead of some of the other options you're going to have. I think at the moment Spurs are not settled, and I think when they settle in, it looks like Savinho is, is finally on his way now. I don't know how much he is. He could be an option later on, but
3.5, I could be wrong.
how much is he?
Thought it was 3.5, I
Yeah,
could be
he could be a
wrong.
decent option, but I say that they're not in Europe, are they? So it won't be a decent option for very long. So I would say no. Should we look at Telegraph?
Yep.
We did do a dedicated 2-hour Telegraph pod last night on this channel for those who want to go a little bit sort of deeper. We did it with Carl Weeks. It was really good fun. We streamed it late last night, but if you just hop down one video in this or one live stream in this, and when you do want some Monday night entertainment, you can catch myself and Paul with Carl going through stuff in depth. Paul, yeah, how are you looking? I think after the pod last night, I'm a lot more settled in my team and my structure.
Yeah. I've not changed my team post pod. I do like. I think I think it's going to be harder for people to compete in mini leagues this year because I think the options are so
Yeah,
vast. Like when you were talking about your team and the players that you had that I didn't have, and Carl was talking about the players that he's got in his team. Like I can't really fault your teams, and I've seen in the group chat people posting up teams that don't look the same as mine, and it's pretty hard
yeah,
to pick holes in them. Like I think that they all look good teams as well. So I, I think it's going to be a really competitive season. Um, Getting on some differentials early might be the key. But I'm pretty happy with the team that I've got set up just now. There was another player that actually didn't mention on last night's pod that I probably won't pick to start with, but I think there's potential at some point is Silva, the new centre half from Bournemouth,
yeah.
is only 2.6 million as well.
Okay, nice.
So there's just a plethora of options right across, maybe less so in the forward positions, but you do have a core of 4 or 5, and if Isak gets back to some Newcastle style form that he had, then he may become an option there as well and require the tail end of the teams.
Yeah, looking at my team now. So I'm doing 2 teams. I'll be entering them into all the different leagues, but I'm doing a Haaland team and a non-Haaland team. The Haaland team is 3-4-3. At the moment, I mean, as it stands, right, and it could, it will almost certainly change for the end of the week, but looks sort of solid enough. I'm going for Kinski, even though there's masses of options in the early 3 millions in terms of keepers. O'Reilly, Gabriel, Palestra is 2.7 million, which is he could make an absolute mockery of that price tag. So I think it's worth going with him regardless, because similar to Calafiori is that he's replaceable at a similar price by a good player you can get. You just mentioned Silva there from Bournemouth, or there's Brentford defenders, or there's Leeds defenders. He's easily replaced if it doesn't work out. But if it does work out, I think he's going to be reasonably low owned as well. I may be wrong. Let's see if I can click. I can't click on him at the moment. Have a look at his ownership at the moment. Oh, I don't think the ownership is up at the moment on have a look. You can't see ownership at the moment on the site. I'll see if I can
It
find it.
shows 0%. I think it shows 0% for everyone.
I think you can get it on DreamTeam Tonic, but I will have a quick look. Player stats. What do you think his ownership is? Oh,
1%.
no. Oh, it says nothing. It's not working. It's not. Well, either that or he's 0% on, which we know isn't right. But never mind. And then midfield, Bruno Semenyo. Sangari and Garner. Now I know that Garner was the top tackler in the league last year, 3.1 million. Might miss the start of the season, the sort of opening game or two. So I'm open to, well, either just starting with him still, knowing that he's going to miss a game or two, or wait to hear news. If it's like he's in contention for game week 1, I'll probably go with him. Otherwise, I don't mind going to sort of a stack or someone along those lines. And Sangari is in, looks like an absolute tackle monster with some attacking threat as well. And then João Pedro, Calvert-Lewin, and Haaland as a front three. So look, very, very, I think that's a solid team. And then the key differences to that and my non-Haaland one, which I do think in this format, non-Haaland is definitely an option. Obviously, because there's no captaincy. Let's have a look. I've got Raya, Gabriel, Calafiori, O'Reilly, Palestra in a back four with Raya, obviously. Bruno, Semenyo, Gibbs, White, Thiago, João Pedro, Calvert-Lewin, which again I think is super, super strong. And I'm happy with that. I'm going to enter a non-Haaland team just because, again, he's so much more expensive. He's more than double the price of Calvert-Lewin. He's nearly more than double the price of, Semenyo, Thiago, Gabriel, all these players, but there's no captaincy. So I really think that it's potentially a viable tactic this year.
I just remembered it wasn't the Bournemouth centre half that I was thinking about. He was 2.8 million. It was a new Nottingham Forest centre half is 2.6 million. That was who I thought was incredible value. So when Carl was picking his team last night, he didn't have a minute because he was looking at last year's projected points.
Yeah.
Whereas Diamande, they've just signed the centre half as 2.8 million. You actually think is better value than the Bournemouth players. Again, they're not playing in Europe. We might see some strength in the cups as well. I thought that he was a really good shout.
Yeah, I forgot he's in the team, and he play back five. I just have a look at it now.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Telegraph season. I think there's loads of options. I think that whole Mosquera about starting or not starting Mosquera, I don't think that I need to start with Mosquera on my team because I'm pretty happy with the rest of it and having the doubts over him. There's nothing. I wouldn't. Like I said last night, I wouldn't steer anyone necessarily away from that. Just not for me at the start of the season. At present, the 11 that I'm picking to start the game, I could feasibly we're doing pick and stick game. I could feasibly pick those 11 as my pick and stick players as well. I'm pretty happy with that setup.
Yeah, I'm the same, I think. I think I've just shared my pick and stick team with you, but it's not far off. I think there's a risk on Palestra in pick and stick. That's my only thing. But again, it's one of those, he could be the game breaker because those who go with him, if he does have a good season, they're probably going to finish far higher than those who don't go with him.
And that's what you get for the rest of your money as well, right?
Yeah, of course.
In all things.
Of course. Okay. Anything else on Telegraph at all?
Don't think so. We're all good.
Just a few questions in the chat. Manchester asks, is Plushy Cash League's not running? It doesn't look like. Very, very sad. I'm really, really disappointed. Paul, you won money in Telegraph, didn't you, last year on Plucky?
Yeah, finished.
You second in the £50 league or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was second in the DreamTeam one, so we had a nice little haul from that. So I'm very, very disappointed that's not running. I
saw Telegraph retweeting or stringing in threads people's mini leagues if they wanted to add it there. So there's some details in there, and I think there's quite a few reputable ones with trusted chairmen across X and group chats, etc.
Ultimate League. So if you've heard of it or you haven't heard of it, we are running the Ultimate Fantasy Manager League again this season. So this started, Paul and I a couple of years ago competed against each other. FPL, DreamTeam and Telegraph, we sort of add up our points and get an average. It was scores, now it's mini league rank to see, who is the ultimate fantasy manager each year. This will be I think the fourth or fifth season running it now. If you're interested in playing, drop me a DM on X at FFH_Fergi. We've had really nice response again this year, but I know this week now is when everyone looks to join. It goes a bit mad these next few days. So please do get in if you want to. I know there was a couple who were late last year, wanted to come in but couldn't. But all teams have got to be in by midday on Friday, because I'm not messing about at 4 or 5 o'clock on Friday with 6 different fantasy formats going on, trying to get in money and stuff. So if you do want to join, please do. It's really good fun. It's super competitive. I mean, highly competitive, incredibly difficult. Paul beat me again last year, so I've got to pay for my own flights up to Edinburgh later on this year. Don't suck it. People would have seen that. People watching would have seen the edges of you. You just do this. Like,
What is it? The smirk? Is it the smirk emoji?
Exactly that. But join us. It's really, really good fun. Hyper competitive, incredibly difficult. But and Keith Ledger won it last year. Won Telegraph and won it. As did...
Yeah, he won Telegraph last year and won it, and then the year before Johnny Curry won Telegraph and won it.
And the year before,
James Ingram won Telegraph
and won Ultimate. We've had the last 3 Telegraph winners win our league, which is insane, really. So yeah, this is the fourth year of running it. So that's the level. You've got to win a game and do well in the other 2. But yeah, good stuff. Manchester, if you drop me a message, get some details off someone. No worries at all. Just a big shout out. Oh, and Cloud will be included as a separate league this year. So we're going to have 2 tabs. We're going to have the main one, and then we're going to have another one with Cloud included as well. So those who want to play Cloud can see how they would fare if Cloud was included in the same one as well. Many thanks to Mike and the DreamTeam Tonic team, who are going to host the league on their website. So it'll be a sort of real-time league. It may take, just to remind to everyone, it may take a few days or kind of a weekend or a week to get everything properly up and running, because there's a fair bit of work we have to do there. But once it is up and running, everything is completely real-time. You can click in any time, and it drags the scores in of all different games. It's absolutely superb. So many thanks to all the guys for helping us to host that. Anything more from you, Paul?
I don't think so. I'm running the 2 separate games, so if anyone wants something a little bit different, I'm running pick and stick games for Dream Team and for Telegraph. Basically, you pick the 11 players at the start of the season, and that sees you right through to the end of the season. So if you're tired of entering all the mini leagues on X for all the different formats and playing against the same managers with the same tactics, with the same teams, this just offers an alternative game, if you like, to those, and it's all a bit of luck and then a bit of tactical value in setting your team up at the start of the season. So if you are interested, drop me a DM and I can, or like one of my tweets, and I'll follow you back, and I can give you the more info on that.
Good stuff. So I think that is us for this week and pre-season. Excited for it. Head's still fried, and I'm pretty sure that my mind is going to change. It's going to flop back and forth a million times by Friday.
Do you think that you're at a disadvantage work? Like, this is a genuine question, by the way. Obviously, working for Fantasy Football Hub, knowing that on Friday is your busiest day of the year, and I know what it's like working in a technology environment and getting a product to launch, and the traffic's going to be busier on that day than any other day. Do you get the headspace? Like, how much headspace do you get to think about fantasy football compared to how much is
Well, thankfully, I'm not technical, so it's which helps. I'm not sort of elbows deep in code that time, and obviously, the platform is we're on a code freeze now, which you would hope, for a couple of weeks beforehand. So we'll all, everyone in the hub will be super, super busy working on Friday, but hopefully the tech team will be watching and having to react if needed, rather than still doing things. So it's not too bad for me personally on Friday. It's funny because across the whole company, everyone's role has peaks and troughs all through the year. Like at the moment, you've got marketing and content are just flat out beyond all belief. Whereas obviously content is reasonably all year round, but content now at the moment is all content, right? Whereas the tech team tend to have the pressure all year round, maybe apart from this time, only because it's a code freeze, and and me sort of overall, it's even though sort of involved in lots of things, it's more making sure that people know what they're doing, they've got the tools, and kind of enabling and stuff. So I should have a fair bit of time to look at my teams, even if I don't pretend that I'm doing something more important.
I've taken a half day.
What's that?
I've taken a half day.
Taken a half day. My word. I'm fortunate really that the deadline, they're staggered as well, right? So the FPL fan team deadlines
fan team, I could be wrong on this, but I thought fan team ran up to the first kickoff.
Oh well, if it is, then it's just FPL. Every week, I think all the rest would go up to the deadline then.
That's right.
So if that's the case, then it's not quite that bad, right? So
FPL's work-wise, FPL is obviously your biggest peak and drop, but like picking your actual teams, you've got that afterwards. I'm going to see Biffy Clyro on Friday night, but I've talked my wife into us staying in the house till 7 o'clock so that I can tidy everything up.
Okay. Very understanding wife, Paul, as usual. Superb. Okay, well, that's us then. We'll be back next week. Best of luck, everyone, for game week 1. Remember the deadlines. And we'll be back next week wallowing or not over a Haaland hat-trick. Or not, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But okay, thanks, everyone. See you next week.